Okay, so talking about doing subtraction with numbers. I'm using integers, but again, this works with all numbers, decimals, fractions, it doesn't matter. Same concept. And I don't know if my adding positive and negative integers video is going to work out so well because it looks like it was backwards. Didn't realize when you use the front camera, it apparently flips everything. Although the concept will still work, so I'll probably still post it. So you may still see it. All right, so again, to use our football analogy, that works really well with subtraction. If I'm on the 5-yard line, if I hand the ball off to the running back and the running back loses 2 yards, so I subtract 2 yards from the 5-yard line, I get 3. I'm on the 3-yard line. So either way, that equals 3. Well, if I'm on the 5-yard line and the referees give me a 2-yard penalty, so they give me negative yardage, then again, I move back to the 3-yard line. So those of you that don't understand football, that might not work as well for you. Hopefully you can understand the concept though. If you're in a particular position on a game board, like I said, if you get a card that says go back 2 spaces, so they give you 2, you would be on the 3. If you somehow could subtract 2 from that, I don't know if you can't roll a -2, but somehow if you obviously are on the 5 and you subtract 2 from being on the 5, you would be on the 3rd space in the board game. So giving you a -2 is the same thing as saying 5 subtract 2. All right, so with that in mind, here's the rule that I tell all my students. Again, we don't ever do subtraction. We change everything to addition. And it works out better when you get into multiplying and dividing positive and negative numbers if you do that. So if I have a subtraction problem, if you'll notice, this is one of the times when you do keep, change, flip. In this particular equation, so to move from this to this, I kept the 5, I changed the subtraction to addition, and then I flipped the sign of the 2, so that would have been a +2. I flipped the sign to -2. All of these numbers are positive if there's no negative sign in front of them. So that's a +5, that's a +5. So now we can treat it just like addition, like we did in the other video, where we take all of the numbers and we combine them, and then if there are any positive and negative ones, they would cancel out, and then whatever is left over is our answer. Oh, I'm going to add something in here too, because I forgot in the other video on adding negative numbers. Actually, I may add negative numbers in here. So anyway, we'll look at this again. So now that it's addition over here, I would have 5 positive ones, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. I would add that to my pile of 2 negative ones. So this is one pile, this is one pile. When I push that pile all together, these are going to cancel out. These are going to cancel out. In this case, I would be left with just those 3 positive ones, which again gives me +3. So that's why I tell my students change everything to addition, because then this whole concept of having the piles of a bunch of positive ones or a bunch of negative ones works. Again, in this case, whichever pile is bigger, so over here I had 5 positive ones versus only 2 negative ones, so my pile of numbers was bigger over here. Doesn't matter if they're negative or positive at this point, you're just looking at how big is the pile. Since this pile was bigger, the sign stayed positive, because I had more positive numbers. The number part simply comes from, well, how many are going to be left over once a bunch of them cancel out? Well, as you can see, that's just the difference between however many you started with in each pile. So 3 was the difference between those 2 piles. Hopefully that doesn't make it more confusing. Let's do one more example. So let's say I have a -3, and then we want to go subtract 8. What does that equal? Again, keep, change, flip. I want to change this to addition. So I keep the -3, change the subtraction to addition, and then I flip the sign. That would have been a +8. So I flip the sign of the 8 to a -8. So -3 plus -8 is the same as -3 subtract +8. Now I can do my piles of negatives. So I have this pile, I have 3 -1s. In this pile, I have a big pile. -1, -1, -1. Hopefully you can see that that's 8 -1s. Did that all fit in there? Looks like it did. Just in case, I'm going to lower it though. Hopefully that won't take too long. There we go. There. Right, so now you see I have 2 piles. Now the thing that happens in this, when we push these piles together, because addition just means we're pushing the piles together, if you'll notice there's no +1s in either pile. So there's no +1s to cancel out. So when we push them all together, it's just going to become one big pile of -1s. So we just count up all the -1s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So -3 plus -8 would give us -11. Now you guys should get calculators for a lot of the tests that you'll take. So the best way to do it is really just use your calculator. But if you happen to get this on a part where you can't use your calculator, and again, I would type in -3, which you might have to push the 3 and then the little negative button, and then you'll say +8 and then the negative button, plus or minus button, and then that should give you -11. But I'd still like you to understand that.